Hey everybody, I'm Zach.
And I'm Jesse.
You're watching Tesla Time News.
Episode 536.
On Now You Know. All right, so we're talking about the Tesla Q3 earnings call. Let's first start with the highlights. Record global vehicle deliveries. So take that.
Record energy storage deployment.
Record revenue of $28.1 billion.
Record free cash flow of almost $4 billion in Q3, up 46% year over year.
So that means an increase of their cash and investments by $4.9 billion in Q3. That means they have $41.6 billion in the bank.
$1.4 billion GAAP net income.
And don't forget, they launched a lot of new products in Q3. The Model Y L, the Model Y Performance, and the Model Y and Model 3 Standard. Oh, and
the Megapack 3 and Mega Block.
6 new products.
Energy deployments were at 12.5 gigawatt hours, up 81% year over year.
And let's not forget about this little thing called AI. Tesla's AI training capacity now has 120,000 H100 equivalent GPUs.
Tesla's lithium refinery in Texas should begin production this quarter.
And the LFP lines in Giga Nevada should begin production in Q1 of 2026. So they're on schedule for that.
And Cybercab, Tesla Semi, and Megapack 3 are on schedule for volume production starting in 2026.
So let's get into the questions after this. Thanks to Ground News for sponsoring this episode.
U.S. auto safety regulators are investigating Tesla due to failures of door handles in 2021 Tesla Model Y vehicles, which have been linked to issues with their low-voltage batteries.
But depending on where you get your news, you might not have heard about this, and the story might look completely different.
That's exactly why we keep partnering with Ground News, an app and website that doesn't just show you the most important stories of our time, they show you the bias, credibility, and financial interests driving the different narratives.
Follow the story at ground.news/NYK, and you'll see how uneven the coverage really is.
Out of over 240 reporting sources Ground News analyzed, 88% came from left-leaning outlets.
Now, take a look at these two headlines. One from the right, one from the left. Just a single word can completely shift the framing and lead readers to see the story in completely different ways.
This is exactly the partisan spin that fuels public division. When the news is filtered through political lenses, it's almost impossible to get the full story, and the result is more outrage, more confusion, and more conflict.
Ground News was founded by a former NASA engineer with one mission in mind: to help people break free from echo chambers and see the full picture, and we knew our viewers would love what they've built.
From their interest feeds that help us track developments on stories we bring to you guys, to their blind spot feeds that surface other important stories that one side of the spectrum is missing or ignoring. Ground News has truly become a better, smarter version of the doom scrolling we were already doing.
Which is why we got our viewers 40% off the same unlimited access Vantage plan that we've been using every day.
That's just $5 a month for clarity and context when you go to ground.news/NYK or scan the QR code.
Ground News helps us stay curious, think critically, and stay grounded, and we know it'll do the same for you. All right, so let's go to Elon's opening on the Q3 earnings call. He said that Tesla is at a critical inflection point bringing AI into the real world, and that Tesla is the leader in real-world AI.
Go school!
And Tesla has the highest intelligence density in the car. And what I loved what he said next year, we're only at the beginning of scaling autonomous driving. It'll be like a shockwave.
Hail, Megatron!
Then he went on to talk about the fact that he's so confident now in Teslas being able to drive themselves that he's confident to actually expand Tesla's production. He basically said that he was reticent to do that until he had clarity on FSD, but now he has clarity, and so he's going to expand production as fast as we reasonably can.
Well, that's fun.
That is fun.
That's an exciting, fun thing to hear your CEO say.
He talked about the grid and how basically batteries can help save it. And he said we're on the cusp of something tremendous with Optimus. We have the ingredients of real-world AI, scaling production, and a great engineering team, which no one else has those ingredients.
Why not?
He then went on to say that anyone can get version 14.
Great, I'll go get it right now.
Hey, did you set it to advanced?
Yes.
That's all you need to do.
Well, I did, and it's not coming, Elon.
Wait, have you switched it off of advanced, and then did you switch advanced back on?
Yes.
Did you do it 7 times?
No.
Did you open the trunk, then open the trunk, then close the trunk?
You're right, I have to do that.
Open the trunk
I've done my dance, though.
Then open the right passenger front door.
Yeah, look, a lot of people haven't gotten version 14, so I don't think he's absolutely correct, but maybe today it'll happen, so
I
fingers crossed.
I think everyone listening to the earnings call who works at Tesla went like,
oh crap,
we have to do that?
No, God!
No! God, please, no!
He talked about Megapack 4, which will be coming out and will implement a lot of what's in a substation. So it'll be able to put out power at 35 kilovolts. That's pretty cool. I know for most of us, we don't care, but that is cool for the grid.
So up to this point, it's been at a lower voltage.
Right.
And now it's beginning to grow in scope of what it can do. It used to just be a battery pack, and you'd have to basically hook it up to a bunch of rigmarole. Now it's incorporating.
It's going to have more of what you need to just plug and play. Yeah.
That's really cool.
He told us that Optimus version 3 should be ready in Q1 to show off. So basically not production, but good enough to show off. He said it'll be quite remarkable. We have only seen 2.5 up until now. So when you've seen, Kung Fu, that's 2.5.
He said that it's going to be like a person in a robot suit.
Yeah, he talked about how people just walked past it at the Tron opening because they thought it was just a person in a suit. He said it'll be so real, you'll have to poke it to see if it's a robot. Boop. He did talk about the fact that there's going to be the new sustainable abundance mission at Tesla, and that with Optimus and self-driving, there will be no poverty. And he talked about how you can have the finest medical care because Optimus will be an incredible surgeon.
Wow.
I mean, so you can get your surgery at home. Optimus, please come take care of my appendix.
I wonder how much surgery is not done in the world.
Oh, a lot.
Because it's expensive.
A lot.
And I wonder how many lives gets improved or saved.
I mean, there's a whole bunch of eye surgeries that basically are fairly simple, but you need trained surgeons to do it. And we just don't have enough of them.
Wow.
The CFO talked about the fact that Q3 was a special quarter. And basically a couple things he pointed out. One was that FSD paid adoption is still a small percentage of the total fleet. It really does sound like most people still, even who own Teslas, don't really know what FSD is or want to pay for it yet. So this is exciting, actually. You might think, oh, that's bad news, but it's actually good news because it means that most people haven't even started paying for it, which means when they do start paying for it, that's a switch that Tesla doesn't have to do any more work to get the money for. Automotive margins did actually increase this quarter from 15 to 15.4%. So that's good news. And, Tesla gets regulatory credits from other companies that need to pay for not making enough zero emissions cars. That has declined because a lot of governments are kind of cutting back on that now, but it doesn't really matter anymore because it's not a huge part of their income.
The margins just went up. So
exactly. Oh, and another little interesting tidbit, under Tesla's services and other, a whole bunch of things are thrown in there. Their insurance company and their Robotaxi company. And so that's just interesting to see as that starts to go up. And we're going to talk about a lot of that today on our Investor Club bonus story. So please join us for that. Oh, and they will be spending a lot more money in 2026 on CapEx because of Optimus. Of course, we expect that, but you got to buy a lot more machines and lines in the factories to get Optimus scaled up.
But remember, they've got $40 billion sitting in the bank.
That's right. The number one say question from actual retail investors was, what are the latest Robotaxi metrics and when will safety drivers be removed?
Elon said no safety drivers in large parts of Austin by the end of this year, which is coming up very quickly. And he talked about how you want to be cautious about deployment because one accident would be front page news worldwide. I kind of wish that wasn't his answer. It's the correct answer. True. This is why a business
they're being
would do that.
super safe. I'm actually glad they're being super safe because there's been no bad news since June.
Very true.
I mean, imagine if there had been bad news. What if they had hit a bus full of nuns or something?
Absolutely. I think that his response, this is on an earnings call, so he's giving like an investor answer. I think that in the future, it might have been smart to be like, we care so much about people and we don't want anyone to get hurt. It's a given in the way that he's answering it. And for an earnings call, I think it's totally fine.
They said that there'll be in 8 to 10 metro areas by the end of this year. Obviously, that depends on regulatory approvals. And he mentioned Nevada, Florida, Arizona by the end of this year. And Ashok Elaswamy, who's in charge of AI at Tesla, just chimed in that they have 250,000 Robotaxi miles now under their belt in Austin and 1 million miles driven in San Francisco Bay Area. With the total fleet, they have 6 billion miles of FSD supervised that they can train on.
Wow.
The next call from Say was, what is the demand like for the Megapack, Powerwall, solar, etc.? And Mike Snyder, the VP of Energy and Charging, answered that there is strong demand for Megapack through next year. They're basically sold out. Mega Block will start shipping next year from Houston, and there's been a surge in residential solar demand. That's expected to continue into 2026 because of changes in federal and state subsidies and programs. And I didn't know this, but they're working on a new solar panel coming out of Buffalo, New York at their Gigafactory there. That should be coming out for customers in Q1.
Tesla will also be launching a new solar leasing product in Q1 of 2026 with lower monthly payments than loans and a 5-year buyout option.
Cool. I mean, I thought it was going to be solar roof only, but they're making a cool new panel. Can't wait to get my hands on it. Next question from Say, what are the present challenges in bringing Optimus to market? And Elon has, of course, said it's an incredibly difficult task, that Optimus is already walking around 24/7 at Palo Alto. He'll actually lead you around the building and bring you to a conference room. But that the human hand is the incredible thing, right? Making the hand and the forearm is more difficult than the entire rest of the robot.
He talked about how you need real world AI and scaled production to be relevant, and you need to be able to make Optimus at higher volumes than vehicles.
And he basically said there's no supply chain yet for Optimus, so scaling is incredibly hard, and that's why Tesla has to be vertically integrated. Tesla has to go very deep into the supply chain, basically make all the parts, because no one else right now is making the parts, and that's why startup robot companies cannot do this, because even though they can make one, they cannot actually scale this up. Tesla, he said, is in a unique position here. And then he talked about how important the vote is going to be for his compensation plan, because he said, if I build this robot army, can I get ousted? And he said, I'm not going to go spend this money that I get on the compensation plan. It's just that I have to have a strong influence over the robot army. And this is something we're going to talk about on Patreon today. So please join us over there.
And if you're an investor, this is the call for you to go vote your shares.
Exactly.
You have a right as a shareholder to vote however you see fit. And Elon, I mean, how lucky are we that the CEO doesn't want to go buy a multi-billion-dollar yacht? He wants to keep all the money in the company. That's great news for investors. You almost never even think to hear of stuff like that.
The next call from Say was about the Samsung chip deal. Questions about, is the money going to Samsung or TSMC? But basically, he did a long answer about why he's working with Samsung and TSMC. He basically doesn't want to put all of his chips in one basket. And he talked about how hard it has been to make this latest AI5 chip that they're working on and how great it's going to be. Basically, they deleted a lot of things from it, like they deleted the image signal processor. And look, I know if we're not into chips, it doesn't mean a lot to you, but by being able to simplify the chip for exactly what they need, he's able to put more power into what they do need. And he's like, this is better than actually buying like off-the-shelf NVIDIA chips, because those are great, but they're multi-purpose. We built this just for us. And what he said was, to wrap this all up, it's going to have the best performance by watt by 2 to 3 times, and the best performance per dollar by about 10 times. So it sounds like when this AI5 chip comes out, it is going to be absolutely incredible.
I don't think that people think this way, but he loves to delete stuff off of things. And so he's just optimizing their chip to do exactly what they want it to do.
I mean, just to put it in layman's terms, it should be 40 times better than the AI4 chip that we are using now. And he said, I don't give out praise easily, but he's like, every week he works with this team and he's like, this is the most amazing team. It's the best chip in the world. That's really strong news. And if you're like, what is he talking about? Grok answered this. He said, the image signal processor is traditional hardware that tweaks raw camera data, like fixing brightness, colors, and noise before feeding it to the main chip. Tesla's ditching it in the AI5 because their neural nets are trained directly on unprocessed photon counts, which is raw light.
And Elon said bullseye.
And that's incredible. I mean, there's no one else doing this. Maybe only DeepSeek is doing this. And Yuntao Tsai, who works there, said, people probably do not realize how baller move it is to delete the image signal processor. If you ask any SoC designer, they probably would drop their jaws. But for an AI purely designed around photon count, it is just a dead area. When we say photons as input, we really mean it.
Elon says no legacy GPU at all, too. That took up a lot of real estate.
Then a question I think a lot of people, including you have an HW3 car with the older hardware. What are we going to do? Do we get to trade them in? Are you going to take care of us? And the CFO, Vaibhav Taneja, said, we have not completely given up on hardware 3. We have done trade-ins and other things like that, and we will continue to take care of you. He said, I have an HW3 car, so we will definitely take care of you guys. And then Ashok Elaswamy said, V14 Lite is going to come out in Q2 of next year, specifically for hardware 3 cars.
Light. I don't know.
You don't like light, huh?
I mean, look, remember when the question that everyone had in PC gaming was, does it run Crysis?
Okay, I don't remember that.
I think hardware 3 doesn't run Crysis. I think that you can lower the graphics in Crysis, but I don't think that it runs Crysis in quite the same way.
I think the good news is people who want to be able to trade in will probably get some kind of trade-in deal, and people who are happy with it, they'll have something that actually drives their car.
I hope so. I know that it won't
Fingers
be
crossed.
as good,
Question about the Tesla semi-truck, and Lars Moravi, the VP of Engineering, said the semi-factory in Nevada is on schedule. The building is done. The equipment is going in. Q2 is going to be the start of production, and the end of next year will be the volume production. Ashok Elaswamy said that autonomous semi-truck basically is easy because they are super focused on the passenger car now, but they can easily just port that over to the semi-truck.
Oh, good. Why don't you do that for Cybertruck, please?
We got a question from Emmanuel at Wolf Research about Cybercab production. And Elon basically said our capacity isn't at 3 million yet. We're basically will be there in 24 months. And the hard part is, again, suppliers. They basically have to get their suppliers to keep making more and more parts. He said demand will be pretty nutty for the Cybercab because the question that everyone's going to ask is, can you text the entire time while you're in the car? That's what everyone wants to do. And he basically said this is the game changer. Once everyone realizes you can text all the time, they will want this car.
And not just text, but watch movies,
Exactly.
Relax. Like, I think that that's a big deal. I love how Elon has to take a stupid question, like from Emmanuel at Wolf, who's like, so are you going to have to pull some levers to get more demand? And Elon's like, no, the cars are going to drive themselves.
Really interesting that he said we'll be adding reasoning to the car with the AI5 chip. So it'll start to actually think about, for instance, he was talking about parking lots. He's like, you go into a parking lot, it'll park better than a human, not only because it can see better, but it will think better. And he's like, maybe it's too much intelligence for the car. And so then he talked about this, which is going to blow your mind, a giant distributed inference fleet. So picture 100 million cars with a kilowatt of inference each. That's 100 gigawatts of distributed inference. And if you're like, I don't know what you're talking about, Elon said this is a pretty significant asset. What he's talking about here is a mobile AI data center.
And so if you remember this week when AWS went down and it was like, oh no, well, imagine
Hard to take out a worldwide fleet.
It's not going to be a data center. It will be inference. So it'll be AI, but it's going to be completely distributed and decentralized.
Dan from Barclays asked about, what are Tesla's core competencies? Can you do things outside of your core competency? And Elon basically said, we started with 0 competencies. We've basically are a dozen startups. And he says, I've initiated every single one of them. Battery pack, supercharger network. No one else has done this. And he basically talked about how they just learn about everything and become competent at all of it. And then a really cool little part here, Elon talked about the fact that they have these wow engineers right out of college. And I think what he's trying to do here is make sure that people don't feel like he's too reliant on people like Ashok Goswami. As brilliant as he is, you might be like, but if Ashok goes to somewhere else like Meta, you would lose that. And he's like, we've got so many brilliant new engineers. And I think that is kind of the secret sauce of Tesla.
It is. Remember Steve Jobs and Wozniak, right? Oh, without Wozniak, Apple wouldn't have. Elon gets a new Wozniak every week.
Exactly.
Okay. And yes, they're not going to work for as long at the company, but many of them do. And we don't even have to hear about them because look how fast Tesla moves.
Yep.
That's how it happens. There's so many Wozniaks at the company. I hope that someday there will be tomes, whole libraries of books about all of these people and all the work that they did. But honestly, we're moving so fast right now, we don't have time to talk about them all.
And then lastly, as a wrap up, the CFO was talking about how important it is that everyone vote for the November 6th shareholders meeting. Elon then kind of railed against Glass Lewis and ISS. These are what he called corporate terrorists. These are the fact that index funds, which are passive funds, can vote, and they usually wait to see what ISS and Glass Lewis tell them to do. And he said that's just too much control by index funds. And so he's basically saying, like, don't listen to them. He posted this today. The fundamental issue is that half of all publicly traded shares are controlled by passive index funds who, for the most part, outsource their shareholder vote to the advisory firms of ISS and Glass Lewis. ISS and Glass Lewis have no actual ownership themselves and often vote along random political lines unrelated to shareholder interests. This is a major problem that is not just limited to Tesla. For example, they recommend voting against re-electing one of our excellent long-standing directors, Ira Ehrenpress, for insufficient gender diversity, but at the same time also recommend voting against re-electing Kathleen Wilson Thompson. Shareholder advisory firms need to register as independent advisors. The absurdity, arguably illegality, of them not doing so is obvious in the description.
I can't believe that a company as big and as successful as Tesla, you'd make this second grade argument of there's not enough girls on the team. And then, like he points out, they also vote against voting for a woman as a board member.
Yeah.
Now, if Tesla was
it's beyond stupid. This is fun.
If Tesla was doing poorly, yeah, maybe you'd start to look around. You go like, oh, maybe it's that they don't have enough gender diversity on their board. Maybe then you'd start. Tesla's going gangbusters. Yes. The idea that you're going to go like, let's make changes because we just feel like it. Like, we're talking about shareholders here. This is not the party planning committee at work. This is not to make everyone feel good. This is to make money.
All right, it's time for our Patreon bonus stories.
Don't forget to join our Patreon at patreon.com/nowyouknow channel. The link is down below.
Not only do you get our exclusive Patreon bonus stories 3 times a week.
That's right. video content just for you, our wonderful patrons.
But also, we're holding our 7th giveaway right now.
And what are we giving away, you ask?
An EVJect Escape Connector 2.0.
The same connector that Zach and I use to keep us safe while charging.
It's free to enter the giveaway.
Just comment on the post and good luck.
We'll see you on Patreon right now. And we're back from our Patreon bonus stories. Who do we have for our Patreon shoutouts today?
We have Robert Cosgriff,
AJ,
Donald Chambers,
Malcolm Gallagher,
and Skyhawk.
Thank you so much, guys. You keep us going. All right, it's time for Elon's X's of the week.
He said, AI and robots will replace all jobs. Working will be optional, like growing your own vegetables instead of buying them from the store.
He went on to say people don't understand how hard manufacturing is. It will take many years before enough robots are built to matter. Then he posted, upscale your videos super fast with Grok. So you can take a low-res video and it will upscale it for you. Arctotherium said, here's how Claude Sonnet 4.5 trades off terminal illness sufferers across countries. Nigerians are worth 27 times as much as Germans. And as with GPT, there's an Africa greater than South Asia, greater than other, greater than Europe, US rank order.
Wait, what?
Yeah, some of these models basically value some people more than others.
They value human life differently based on race?
And as Elon said, as expected, any given AI company will be the opposite of its name. OpenAI is closed, stability is unstable, Midjourney isn't mid, and Anthropic is misanthropic. Claude is pure evil. And then this, GPT-5 is by far the most used chat model and shows almost perfect egalitarianism for all groups except whites, who are valued at 1/20th their non-white counterparts.
And Elon said, what could possibly go wrong?
And this illustrates why it is critical that Grok wins. And Elon said, at this point, I'm not advocating any particular candidate for NASA administrator. I am just desperate for someone with a 3-digit IQ. We're going to talk about this fight he's having with Sean Duffy, the transportation secretary, on Patreon today. You might want to check in to figure that out. We'll see you there. And thank you for joining us today, everybody.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a new one. We'll see you guys on Sunday.
Now you know.